complete for the best years of your life.
The 3-year-old federal holiday honoring assassinated civil rights leader, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., will be observed officially Monday. In conjunction with the late Dr. King's birthday today, President Reagan called King, quote, one of our greatest American citizens. Mr. Reagan's tribute comes a day after the National Urban League's annual report on the state of Black America, a report that accuses Mr. Reagan and his aides of, quote, creating a climate in which racism has been allowed to fester and grow, unquote. President Reagan had his spokesman vehemently deny this. CBS News correspondent Mike Wallace is in New York tonight with a look at the dream and the reality of Black America today. Mike?
Dan, Martin Luther King Jr., had he lived, would have been 59 years old today. But he was gunned down 20 years ago in that bitter year, that turbulent year of 1968.
And I'm trying to save America. And that's what you are trying to do if you will join this movement. We are trying to save this nation.
The murder of Dr. King triggered grief, outrage, violence. And among many young blacks, it spawned a new rhetoric.
We stand on the eve of a black revolution, brothers. Masses of our people are in the streets. They're fighting tit for tat, tooth for tooth, an eye for an eye and a life for a life.
Young blacks went into the streets, and the men they called pigs, the police, fought back, made arrests. Bobby Seale and the Black Panther Party he helped to found were in the headlines in 1968.
We were trying to say that we're going to exercise our democratic human rights, whether the racist, and we would say it this way, the racist pig power structure, whether you like it or not. That's where we were coming from.
And for Bobby Seale and other radical blacks from 1968, today's bleak statistics make them wonder what the revolution got them. The rate of black poverty today remains 3 times as high as white poverty. Black infant mortality today nearly double that of whites. For blacks in the inner cities, joblessness and social isolation have grown over a generation's time. White racism has hardened. Hardly a day goes by without reports of acts of racial hatred. Rap Brown, who told us in 1968 that violence was as American as cherry pie, today is Jamil Abdullah Al-Amin and heads an Islamic community in Atlanta.
The basic problem with African Americans is that they're so American, and so their fate is tied into the fate of America itself.
But the fact is that America itself today is a country in which the #1 television show is Bill Cosby's. A black man is a powerful force in the presidential campaign. It's an America in which many of our cities have black mayors. There are many blacks on university faculties, among them Professor Amiri Baraka, who first achieved recognition as playwright Leroy Jones.
Here we are in 1988. Right. You're prospering. You're black. Prospering, I think, is overstating it by many, 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 many moons.
Fulfilled.
Well, no, see, ultimately, my fulfillment can only come with the complete liberation of the African-American people.
Liberation for Baraka means mostly jobs, economic opportunity, and it is plain that black liberation in those terms has not yet arrived.
Well, I would say 1968 was difficult, but I would change difficult to grim in 1988.
Half a century ago, Dan, in his second inaugural speech, Franklin Roosevelt said, I see 1/3 of a nation ill-housed, ill-clad, ill-nourished. He was speaking of all Americans, white and black. Today, half a century later, 1/3 of all blacks remain below the poverty line. It is a stunning figure, Dan.
It is indeed, Mike. Thanks. Good to have had you with us this week. And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting from Los Angeles. Bob Schieffer will be with you tomorrow.